Myself, I'm Ratna Bhushan, a friend, motivator, and guide to IAS aspirant, international motivational speaker, leadership trainer, CEO, coach, political strategist, and policy advisor. Welcome to ASG. ASG, IAS believe in quality, commitment, and success. Quality, commitment, and success. My dear friend, before starting, I would like to request you please share, subscribe, and like. थोड़ा तो बनता है. अगर आप सुनते हो सब्सक्राइब एक ही लोग को करो, दो ही लोग को करो. The today quote is, I see neither bravery nor sacrifice in destroying life or property for offense or defense. This quote of Mahatma Gandhi from the book The Words of Gandhi by Richard Attenborough. So the most important news of today is source is Hindu newspaper. Australia rejects China's sea claims. There is no legal basis for Beijing to assert rights over South China Sea island, says declaration to UN. Australia has rejected Beijing territorial and maritime claims in South China Sea in the formal declaration to the UN, aligning itself more than closely with Washington in the escalating row. In a statement filed on Thursday, Australia said there was no legal basis to several disputed Chinese claims in the sea, including those related to the constructions of artificial islands on the small shoals and reefs. Australia rejects China's claim to historic rights and the maritime rights and interest is established in the long course of historical practice in South China Sea. In declaration read, there is no legal basis for China to draw straight baselines connecting the outermost points of the maritime features or island groups in the South China Sea, including around the Forza or continental or outlying archipelagos. Govind completes 3 years in office. President Sri Ram Nath Kovind completed 3 years of his presidency on Saturday with the Rashtrapati Bhavan noting that he guided the country in the fight against the pandemic and had been everyone's president, such an excellent person. Sir, congratulations you. With the nearly 7,000 people, including soldiers and scientists, calling on him in the past 1 year, the President Sri Ram Nath Kovind completes 3 years in office today. The official handle of the Rashtrapati Bhavan posted on Twitter. He epitomizes the qualities of the nobility and humility and has enhanced the dignity of the office of the President. Sir Sri Govindji, graciousness and the warmth that touches everybody. It has been a wonderful experience to work within him over the last 3 years for the development of the nation, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu wrote on Twitter. In a series of infographics, the Rashtrapati Bhavan highlighted various initiatives and work done during Mr. Govind's third year in office. Apart from the forging 30% of his salary for a year, Mr. Govind donated a month's salary to PM Cares Fund, rationalized expenditure of the Rashtrapati Bhavan for optimal use of resources, including introducing e-invites for important functions such as at home, the President's office. The confluence of four powers and two seas, Quad. The confluence of four powers and two seas, with an aggressive China on one side and push from the partners on the other, India faces tough choices on an Indo-Pacific maritime alliance. Parallel exercise in the Indo-Pacific this week, including a trilateral exercise between the US, Australia, Japan, and the Philippine Sea, and the Indo-US naval exercise in the Indian Oceans have fueled the speculation that quadrilateral QUAD exercise will be launched soon between all the four navies. All eyes on the decision that by New Delhi to accept Australia's request that has been pending for 4 years now to join the annual Malabar exercise with India, the US, and Japan. The decision has not been an easy one, given China's fierce opposition to the militarizations of the coalition seen as a counter to its claims to the Pacific and inroads in the Indian Ocean. India has also been wary of the joining any exercise that could be constructed as an alliance, something External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said this week India will never be a part of. In 2018, at the Shangri-La dialogue, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said that India sees the Indo-Pacific as a geographical concept, not a strategic or a club of the limited members. Also, India is the only country in the Quad that shares a land boundary with China, and militarizations of the Quad will not help India deal with that threat. Fourth, Fourthly, unlike the US, Japan, and Australia, which are tied by military alliances, India is a member of the other strategic forums such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization with China, Russia, and Central Asia, BRICS, and RIC, which appear to be the cross purpose with the Quad alliance. The China factor, even so, many contend that China's recent moves, including its aggressions in the South China Sea and the transgressions and deadly clashes across the line of actual control, may in fact prove to be the tipping point that makes India make take plunge, pushing countries the quadrilateral security group called the Quad for short into a military embrace that will have to far-reaching implications for regional and global security, regional and global security, regional and global security, regional and global security. Ironically, the Quad, which today involves such a labored and the slow pace. Discussion was originally born in the instant from the crisis that followed the tsunami in December 2004. Within days of the disaster, India had mobilized an impressive fleet and demonstrated to the world that it would not just manage its own rescue effort in Tamil Nadu and the Andaman and Nicobar Island, but could also provide assistance to its maritime neighbors Sri Lanka and Maldives and Indonesia. In all, about 32 Indian ships and 5,500 troops were pressed into India's international efforts. The humanitarian and disaster relief effort was coordinated in the next few weeks with the three other naval powers engaged in the rescue effort, the US, Australia, and Japan. The then Foreign Secretary Shyam Saran spoke every day to his counterparts about what was needed next. Eventually, the Quad effort was handed over to the UN, but the idea of Indo-Pacific as a larger maritime strategic community and the Quad was an effective instrument in it had been planned in the minds of the four members. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who had been promoting the idea of an arc of the prosperity and freedom, arc of 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 prosperity that brought the Quad countries closer together, was happy to develop the concept, and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh discussed it with the during a summit in December 2006. In 2007, when the annual India-US Malabar exercises were held in the Indian and Pacific Ocean, first of the Okinawa, and a few months later of Visakhapatnam, they include Japan, Australia, and Singapore. The exercises and the strategic coordination with Mr. Abe had said that the confluence of the two seas rattled Beijing and Moscow, who returned it an attempt to build an Asian NATO. China's navy had not been at the time of the undergone its massive modernization drive towards a blue water navy. It only commissioned its aircraft carrier Liaoning in 2012, and the effort by the Quad countries were clearly an impetus to hasten the process. But at the same time, China's demarches to Quad countries paid off. Contrary to the currently popular lore, it was not India that cancelled the Quad exercise in 2008. The US, which was trying to gain China's support in the six-party talks in North Korea, dampened enthusiasm for a Quad foreign ministers meeting, and the Queen Root government in Australia then pulled out of the exercise. The Quad was shelved for the next decade. In 2017, the Quad returned, now named Quad 2.0. Coinciding with the revision in the Washington assessment of the challenge from China and similar as a reassessment in New Delhi, Tokyo, and Canberra in November 2017, just months after the Doklam standoff between the Indian Army and the PLA, officials from all four countries met in Manila for the India, Australia, Japan, US dialogue.